Today, I'm going to show you something most people don't show. Not just one trade, not one lucky week, not a highlight reel. I tested the same credit spread idea for 6 months with real trades. I tracked every single trade. I'm going to show you the results and the one conclusion that actually matters. Over the past 6 months, I traded 42 credit spreads across 21 different tickers. And the strategy made a total of $7,241 in profit. Just to be clear, this was real trades, real money. Every single trade was placed with my broker. And the goal of this test was simple. I wanted to answer one question with real trading. Not opinions, not simulations. What spread width is actually best? $5 wide, $10 wide, or $20 wide? And honestly, I expected the $20 wide would be the best, because that's how I've been trading for years. So if you're already trading options, or you're considering getting started, this video is going to help you a lot. I'm a private investor and I use options to generate my income every single month. My job is to run a process and I want it to be as close to a money printer as possible. That means I trade a rule-based strategy. I track everything. I review results like a business and I constantly look for ways to improve. When I think I found something worth optimizing, I do it in steps. First, I analyze. Then I do a simulation using ChatGPT, like I showed in my last video. And then I trade the strategy in a small size account for about 6 months. And then I analyze the results. And that's what we're doing today. Why 6 months? Because I want the strategy tested through the ups and downs the market brings. Now let me explain the strategy and the rules, because the rules are the entire point. The strategy is a bullish option trading strategy using bull-put credit spreads. That means I sell a put, I buy a lower strike put for protection, and I collect a premium upfront. And I win if the stock stays above my short strike. I follow a set of very simple rules. Rule number 1, the delta of my short strike must be below 28. Rule number 2, the RSI must be below 55. Rule number 3, when I enter the position, the option must expire around 40 days from today. Why do I use these rules? Because I've developed this strategy over the years and I've constantly been testing different things. And I concluded that these rules give a stable and consistent result. And to make sure that my winning trades are covering my losing trades, I also want to make sure that I keep my risk and reward consistent across every single trade I place. That means that I want to get paid at least $1 per $500 I'm risking. So on a $5 wide spread, I want at least $1 in credit. And on a $20 wide spread, I want at least $4 in credit. If I can't get these numbers, then I'm not going to take the trade. And this is also the reason why I was only able to place 42 trades over the past 6 months. Because when my trade rules are this specific, real opportunities are limited. And for me, filtering out trades that don't match my rules is more important than trying to increase the trade volume. Let me give you a quick example so you can picture what this looks like in real life. Today, I like the stock IREN. I'm looking for stocks that are in an uptrend, trading above the 50-day SMA and with the RSI below 55. And if you look at the chart, IREN has been moving up since mid-December, so pretty strong uptrend. It now had a small pullback, so the setup looks clean. Now I go to the option chain. I want an expiration around 40 days, so I'm looking at March 20. I pick my short strike. I want delta below 28. And in this chain, that puts me around the $44 strike. I want my spread to be $10 wide, so I'm gonna buy the $34 put. On this trade, I receive $2.45 in credit. So best case scenario, I can win $245. Worst case scenario, I can lose $755, but nothing more than that. And the probability of profit is around 75%. It's a perfect example of the type of trade I'm repeating in this test. Now here's the experiment. The only thing I changed over this test during the last 6 months was the width of the spread. I tested $5 wide, $10 wide, and $20 wide. Because I wanted to see if they acted differently in different market environments. Same rules, same mindset, just different risk and reward per trade. Now I'll give you the headline results. And I'll show you the conclusion that matters. Over the past 6 months, I placed 42 trades. I won 37 of them and lost 5, which is an 88.1% win rate. The total profit was $7,241. The average profit per trade was about $172. The profit factor was 3.72, meaning for every dollar I lost, I made about $3.72. And the average trade lasted about 21 days. So yes, this was profitable, even though we went through a couple of big market swings. And I think for most people, the results look pretty good. Now, let's dive into the win rate. Of course, win rate matters, but I don't judge a strategy on the win rate alone. What I care about most is whether the losers stay controlled and whether the strategy stays profitable across different market conditions. So 88% win rate is great, but what makes it meaningful is that the overall profit and loss stays solid and the strategy holds up when the market gets choppy. Now here's the most important thing the test showed me. The $10 wide spreads were the most consistent part of the entire dataset. For the $10 wide spreads, I placed 15 trades, all of them won. That's a 100% win rate for that group. And the total profit for that group was $5,059. For the $20 wide spreads, I placed 15 trades. The win rate was about 73%, and the total profit was only $459. For the $5 wide spreads, I only placed 6 trades. I won all of them, and the total profit was $1,035. But that is a small sample, so I'm not going to pretend it's perfect. Why didn't I place more trades that was $5 wide when it looks like I could have a 100% winning rate? Well, because pretty quickly I started to realize that I would only have limited number of opportunities with these rules. So I wanted a higher profit per trade. So based on real trades, with my rules, my conclusion is this: $10 wide spreads are the sweet spot. Am I surprised about that? I thought $20 was better, but it does make sense. Now, let's talk about what the 6 months actually look like. And we can do that by looking at the equity curve. The 6 months can roughly be divided into 3 different phases. First, we had some months with steady growth, then a more neutral phase, December with strong growth, and then January with about 3 weeks of declines. And when I compare that to the SPY, basically the general market, I see a similar story. SPY was very bullish from June into October, and from October to today, it's been chopping up and down. The choppiness from October through January tested the strategy, and it showed me that the wider spreads didn't perform as well. And that's exactly why I run tests like this, because this is impossible to see in a simulation. And I want to see what holds up when the market changes. And I learned the wider the spread, the more sensitive they are to choppy markets. The drawdown was actually not as bad as I would have expected. The worst time, I was down $2,136 from the peak in my account. Now, let's put that into context. At peak, I had 12 trades open at the same time. On average, I had about 4 trades open at a time. Based on the spread risk, the capital tied up at the average time is around $8,000. And at peak, it tied up $20,000. So realistically, I want around a $30,000 account to run this strategy with enough breathing room. If I compare that to the $2,136 drawdown, that means that the drawdown would have been 7 to 8%. And for an option strategy, I consider that very low. So this real-world dataset is not showing extreme drawdowns. It's showing something I can work with, and I think most traders would be happy with. If we're analyzing the return on capital and annualized return on capital, I want to be careful here so it's not misleading. On a per trade basis, the average return on capital was around 8 to 9%. And if I look at it as making $7,241 on a $30,000 account in 6 months, then the analyzed return is roughly around 50%. And to benchmark that, if I had invested all that money into SPY from mid-June to mid-January, the return would have been around 15%, or about 30% annualized. So this strategy performed better than the market over the same period. And again, these returns are acceptable. Before we end today, let's check in on my active trades. First, I had to close my Palantir position yesterday because it hit my stop loss zone. I ended up losing $582 on that trade. Losses are part of the game, and for me, the key is simple. When a trade hits my stop, I close it and I move on. And I'll tell you why I'm strict about this rule. Because I've tested this rule before. And out of 100 credit spreads I closed at my stop loss, only 2 of them would have turned around and recovered back above the short strike. So out of 100 trades hitting the stop loss, 98% of them would have taken the full loss, and only 2 of them would actually have turned out to be a winning trade. So in my experience, once a credit spread is in that stop zone, it is extremely rare that it fully turns around. That's why I'd rather take the loss and move on to the next trade. Now the good news, today I could close my light trade for a $217 profit. That one played out exactly by the book. And I still have the Tesla trade open, nothing new here, it just needs more time. So for this month I closed 4 trades, 3 winners and 1 loser. That's a 75% win rate, which is basically in line with what I expect from this strategy. Total profit on those 4 trades is about $100. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe. See you in the next video.